Hey, what's up, everybody? It is the Breakfast Burrito here on YSN, and for the first time ever on Facebook. So if you're joining us, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. The Breakfast Burrito, we are all about loyal, local, live. Also, the format is basically we start local, then we go regional, then we go national. My partner Tommy Pease is apparently in a snowstorm, so if you're out there, be safe. He's going to be on here as soon as he can. But we're going to start out with some scores from last night on YSN. It was an incredible night for the Columbiana Clippers. So hats off to the Clippers, Jared Wilson, Coach Johnson, and the team down there. An unbelievable job. The MVP of the game, the player of the game from G. Burbick Farms was Eric Hoppensies, who just took over from the jump. And the Clippers are able to overcome the Southern Local Indians on their home court in what really assumed to me to be a really hard-fought battle. We had the call in YSN last night, and the Clippers just came out swinging and didn't stop from there. So it was really good to see the Clippers get back on track. Coach Johnson has the troops ready, and it's a really exciting product down there. A lot of great shooters. And they really were able to work the boards and have the inside game go on last night. So hats off again to the Clippers. A big win over an EOAC, a conference foe in the Southern Local Indians, who are a very, very good team. Very talented, very deep. But the Clippers just too much to handle last night. And in other news, let's see here. What do we got? Scoreboard watching here. So any Edgewood Warriors fans, well, you edged the Struthers Wildcats last night. 64-63, your final score there. Another close one, the East Golden Bears, 70-69 over the Canfield Cardinals. So some close games last night. Niles, not so close. They beat up on the Jefferson Falcons, 76-42. Then you have Bristol, 78-40 over the Brookfield Warriors. Liberty, the YSN team, YSN matchup between Girard and Liberty. Girard takes the W, 84-72 over Liberty, and it's Newton Falls, 73-65 over Camel Memorial. And how about Western Reserve? They've taken their lumps this year a couple times. We've had them on the South Range game. They also, I believe, played a really tightly contested game against the Louisville Rockets in all Western Reserve. All Western Reserve last night, 86-26 over Jackson Milton. And then Austintown, Fitch, 75-48 over Lakeside. So a big win for the Falcons. And another close game in Youngstown, well, around the area last night. One of the Youngstown teams competing. It was St. Thomas Aquinas, 49-46 over the Fighting Irish of Ursuline. So that was a big game, and Ursuline just coming out just short against the Knights. How about Louisville? Coming up just short against a perennial powerhouse in McDonald, 71-62. We had semi-coverage of that with our friends over in Louisville. I know they had some trouble getting the broadcast up, but it was a good game nonetheless. 71-62, Blue Devils take it over the Rockets. And then the Spartans of Boardman coming up just short against Lakeview, 64-63. That's 3 games last night that came down to 1 point. So the basketball is there in the area. It's incredible to watch. Incredible to see. So being able to see these games come down to 1 bucket is absolutely phenomenal. So the game is on the rise here in the Valley. Sebring getting a big win, 59-54 over the Mineral Ridge Rams. And it was Poland getting a huge win over Hubbard, 84-43. And Springfield really putting it to Waterloo last night, 89-52. And as he comes on, just in the nick of time, Harrison Central, 82, East Liverpool, 70. Tommy, what happened last night in the Potter Dome?
Good morning, DJ Yoakley. How are you today?
I'm doing well, my friend. How's the snow treating you?
It's terrible. They haven't touched my road yet. Same as yours. Main roads are terrible. Kids are home. I had to get them donuts this morning. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean. You know how it goes. This is terrible. I hate winter. I hate the winter. The Potters, 82-70 fell to I tell you what, best basketball team I've personally seen all year is Harrison Central. They had a freshman, Kobe Mitchell, drop 20 last night on the Potters. the rumor is, I didn't verify this, but he's ranked in the top 100 freshmen in the state of Ohio. And they had Arbaugh, who is a senior guard. Just a complete basketball team. They shot the lights out of the field house last night. Potters did everything they could to keep up. Actually cut it to 2 in the fourth quarter. But back-to-back 3-pointers after they cut it to 2 from Harrison Central, and the Potters couldn't they couldn't rebound off of those 3-pointers. But hard-fought battle against, like I said, the best team I've seen all year in the high school basketball that we've witnessed so far. And Harrison Central is a team, they're south of our coverage area, but they're a team to look out for in the playoffs, because even though they're not huge inside, they do got one guy's probably about 6'3", but on any given night that basketball team could beat anybody, because they are a sharp shooting basketball team, a lot of pure strokes and a lot of good outside shooting from Harrison Central. Potters played well, but fell by 12 to the better team.
So from your standpoint last night, are the Potters getting healthier? Is this something where they're still trying to overcome that flu A?
No, I mean, Peyton Reed was back last night. Saw limited minutes in his first game back. He might have been, a little sluggish coming off the flu A. He missed 3 games. They're just young. They're learning as they go. They're definitely getting better at handling pressure. What we've seen after the Rocky River game at the Holiday Classic that you had the pleasure of watching and calling, teams started to play Liverpool a little more physical, and it kind of took them out of their game. But now I see them starting to overcome that, and with the playoffs around the corner, hopefully we can grab a few wins in the playoffs and wrap up a decent season for what I always say, a very young East Liverpool Potter basketball team.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how that team can put it together in the tournament. I know we talk about it nearly every day, and we get it more and more excited each day we do talk about it. So East Liverpool getting a lot of love here on YSN and the Breakfast Burrito each and every morning. So if you're a Potter fan, make sure you don't miss the burrito as we continue to talk about the Potters. As you got the voice of East Liverpool right there in Mr. Tommy P. So Tommy, thanks again for all you do, not only for YSN but for East Liverpool.
Thank you.
All right, man. We talked about it yesterday. The big topic of conversation is going to be today on the burrito. It's going to be one-sport athletes versus multi-sport athletes. So I had a chance to talk to a couple coaches. I had a chance to talk to some friends and some people really close to the vest here at YSN about their thoughts, their views on one-sport versus multi-sport athletes. And it's really all over the board. It's exactly what I thought it would be. There's people that love the fact that someone dedicates their life or their young life to one sport, whether it be baseball, basketball, soccer, you name it, et cetera, et cetera. But on the other side of the coin, there's people that absolutely love the fact that their kids are diverse in their sports and try to capitalize on other talents, whether it's from being a better teammate, better leader, a better just overall athlete, hand-eye coordination, foot coordination. It's really all over the board. I couldn't track down really, especially from our standpoint, if one was better than the other or what the difference was. So we did put it out on social media this morning. Hopefully we'll get some connections to it. We actually, funny that it happened this way. This was not planned at all, but our partners over at Coaches Tribune just posted something this morning about the sports parenting. The 5 reasons you want your kid to be a multi-sport athlete. So I suggest we shared it on our Facebook page. I really would appreciate if you go over there and support them over at the Coaches Tribune. They do a wonderful job of highlighting not only athletes but coaches, and everybody kind of chimes in. So if you're new to the show, if you're new to YSN, make sure you check them out. They do a great job of kind of piquing interest across all sports, not just one, but very many. But their take is, and I think they got this from ESPNW article, is you want your kid to be a multi-sport athlete, but the other side of the coin, Tommy, and I think that's one that we have to address, is with so many sports going on and with so many sports trying to be all year, round the clock athletics, what happens to burnout? What happens, your kids don't get to be kids anymore?
Yeah, I mean, this is this is a topic that nationally has been on the forefront for a few years now. Like you said, with the specializations and the sports, pretty much going all year. If you're playing travel basketball or travel baseball, those kids pretty much are going all year round. Football is the one sport that for youth especially that doesn't really go all year, which it kind of can't. But there's no easy answer to this question. Multiple sports athletes better than single sport athletes. I mean, there's so many different opinions out there on this issue. But the simple answer is it depends, because every athlete is different. And, burnout is something that, goes both ways, whether, you get burnout on playing multiple sports, nonstop on the go with multiple sports, or you get burnout in the single sport that you're specializing on. Multiple sport athletes, they have the ability to develop skills, that complement other sports. If a football player runs track or plays basketball, he can improve his footwork and hand-eye coordination. If you choose one sport, a major difficulty for athlete is, deciding which sport they want to play in college. So, I mean, it's a tricky subject because, like I said, it all in my eyes, it all depends, on the particular athlete. And, I guess that's why we have the freedom in this country to make decisions, I guess. And, these parents or these athletes, they kind of got to put it down and see which route they want to go. But here's an interesting fact I found when you told me we were going to talk about this. Last year's NFL draft, 30 of the 32 NFL first round draft picks were multi-sport athletes in high school.
Wow. That's impressive. I mean,
right.
That's a great statistic. I'd be interested to see how it goes in the other sports, because football, you really need, football, I think you hit it right on the nose, buddy. If in football, you need to be able to do so many different things. I mean, you saw, a Super Bowl champion quarterback catch a touchdown pass the other night. So, I mean, you've got to be able to multitask, obviously, in the NFL, but it'd be interesting to see how many players in the Major League Baseball draft were multi-sport athletes, and in the NBA draft, and across the way, even in women's sports, in the WNBA, how many of them were multi-sport athletes? I would venture to guess that there's more multi-sport athletes on the girls' side than there is the boys' side. Now, I have no scientific facts behind it, but I would venture to guess, because there's kind of a less of a pool. Now it's growing, as we talked to Anthony last Friday. That pool is growing of female athletes, but I think that the athletes that are at schools and in college have a tendency to play more than one sport. So I'd really like to get the take of the people here. If you're a multi-sport athlete, why? If you're a specialist athlete, why? So just trying to figure this out. I mean, looking at this real quick, just kind of glancing at it, and I read it this morning. But some of the points that they have in this Coaches Tribune article is that if you're a multi-sport athlete, there's fewer overuse injuries. So basically, growing bodies can become overstressed by repetition, and that stress can lead to injuries. We all know that. So right. if you're a high school pitcher, for baseball, but you're a wide receiver for football, and obviously maybe you're a point guard for basketball, you're using all different muscles. You're not using them all the time. So you're not looking at, Tommy John surgery at the age of 12 and things like that. So interesting to kind of, I never really, I guess, thought of that, because my personal opinion was the more you use it, the more you strengthen it. But their take is the more you use it, the more you wear it out. So you're talking about ACLs, ligaments everywhere, all over your body that are getting worn down, not just by one season, but doing the same thing over and over again, and kind of, stretching out your ligaments and your muscles more than they're supposed to be at that age.
Yeah, repetitive motions, basically, you're looking at there is going to cause you to, like you said, to strain something if you're using it frequently. Like Tommy John was a perfect example of that, for sure. There's no right or wrong way the athlete the athlete takes their path, and neither path is better than the other. It just, I mean, it honestly depends, on what the athlete wants, and hopefully not what the parents want, but they do have a say. But that fact, the 30 to 32 first round draft picks are multi-sport athletes in high school. I mean, that's pretty staggering. So, you can love one more sport than another, and focus, maybe put a little more focus on that. But I think, developing skill set and developing, other skills around other sports, will only help you further in your main sport. So yeah, it's a hot topic. It's hard to staple down one or the other. I mean, for me, as a parent, my son's 11 years old. He plays basketball. He plays baseball. He likes baseball a lot, and he's good at it, but he loves basketball, and he's also good at it. So if, he focuses himself more on his basketball game than he does his baseball game, and that's fine because I want him to do what he loves. So he hasn't specialized in basketball, even though I feel like he's starting to go that way. I mean, he's 11 years old, so it's still early, but he's going to play AAU basketball after the regular season here is over, and that will actually interfere with the baseball season. So for me, as a parent of a young athlete, I want him to play both sports, of course, but in the end of the day, I want him to do what makes him happy, because you only get one life. So I will support him in either direction that he wants to go, and that's the way we're running it here in the Pease household. So I don't know about everybody else, but that's us. So
No, that's huge, man. And I guess sticking to that topic, I mean, you said he plays basketball, he plays baseball. A huge topic over the last week was Justin Timberlake stepping up to the podium and saying that he will not allow his kid to play football. What's your take on that? I mean, is that something where does he show interest in football? And if he does, do you let him?
Well, he did not until this year. He went down to the middle school, and when they go out for recess, they play a little football outside, a little two-hand tap with the Nerf ball. And he kind of found out that he's pretty good at it. He can throw a football, he can catch a football, he can run fast. And so I think he's got the bug. I'll never tell him no, but I would like for him to be a little older before he stepped on the football field. It's just a concussion thing. And I know they're 11. Nobody's hitting, super big hits, in an 11-year-old football game, but still the impact's there on the head. And I feel like up until middle school, you can learn the game of football. You can learn the fundamentals of football by playing flag football. And, as a parent of a young athlete, that's my stance on it. But yeah, if he wants to play football, I'm going to let him play football. So
interestingly enough, that kind of leads us to a sidebar conversation that I've had inside my personal circle. Obviously I live in East Palestine here. They're getting ready to kind of set back the clocks a little bit. And I say that very loosely because I'm a firm believer in what they're doing. But EPYSA, East Palestine Youth Sports Association, had put out a kind of a flyer or feeler, so to speak, about bringing back flag football in the area. And I just put out a thing this morning, shared again from the Coaches Tribune on social media about how Youngstown just won the 11 and 12-year-old national championship of flag football. So football is always going to be big here in the Valley. We're a hotbed for athletes. We're a hotbed for football players. But is it time that we look more into flag football being the training wheels, so to speak, for big boy football, for pads and things like that, with not just East Palestine, but many different organizations and districts bringing flag football back into the fold here? Is that the future of football? Is teaching them kind of, I guess, waiting a little bit longer, 7th, 8th grade to start the actual pad process? Is it going to be a flag football society, so to speak, here as we look into 2018?
I'm not sure if it's in the near future, but I can see it happening, and I would be an advocate of it because I'm a firm believer. Let's be honest. These kids, they start at 7 or 8 years old playing Little League football. Their skulls aren't completely formed. Their brains aren't developed all the way. So even though they're not getting, popped by, big time NFL football players with big hits, they're still having multiple contact to the head. And, after watching Will Smith and concussion, I always said, it's football. It's been around forever. It's not a big deal. It's going to happen. Concussions happen. But after watching that movie, knowing that it's scientifically fact, I think it would be smart, if we did go to a flag football society, basically all the way up until 7th grade, 7th and 8th grade. Let's put the pads on. We're ready to go because, they're starting to become young men. They're fully developed. Their brains are pretty much set in stone, ready to go. Skulls fully formed and hardened. Let's go. But up until that time, I really don't see a reason for, kids to take the head contact until that age. And that's just my own personal opinion. There's going to be 100 million people that disagree with me, but there's going to be some that do agree with me. It's another tough question and tough issue in today's world.
Well, I guess this kind of goes right into the one sport versus multi-sport athletes. Does flag football keep real? I don't even know how to phrase it. I don't want to say real football because I still think flag football is real football on the basis. Does flag football keep the other football kind of fresh and exciting for a little bit longer, kind of, being able to unwrap the package a little bit later in life? And what I'm getting at is there less opportunity for burnout in a single sport for like football? Like if you're doing flag football, the excitement is, and if you start in, let's say 5th grade, for instance, in 2 years, you do 2 years of flag football, and then all of a sudden the excitement's back again because now you get to put the pads on and play the football that you see on television. Is that an opportunity there for kids and to keep the sport of football exciting for a little bit longer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they got to wait longer to play, to play the real game, so to speak, with the full outfit on. So yeah, it probably like you said, keeps football fresh, and then you also too, you can work on, if you stay away from the pads and you simplify the game down to flag football where, you just learn the basic skill sets of the game. You learn the rules of the game. You learn how to, fundamentally block, how to run routes, the only thing you're going to lose out on is, proper tackling form, but you can still break down in flag football. If somebody's coming at you, you can still break down properly and grab the flag. So, I mean, I don't see a negative to it at all. And, I've friends and family who've been coached, at the youth ages and at the high school ages. And a lot of them say, there's no reason to play contact football until 7th and 8th grade, but they all do say, but if you want them to play football or you want to be involved in football, play flag football because you're still going to learn the game, still going to learn the fundamentals of the game. And like you said, hopefully if that goes that route, then they can be excited about playing 7th and 8th grade football when it comes that time. They get their helmet, their pads, and now they're the real deal, what they've always wanted to be. So
yeah, I think one of the biggest, and I'm going down the list of points here that they have on Coaches Tribune. One of the biggest ones for me was always the group of friends and the cast of characters, if you will, that I had around me in each sport that I played. And, as I look to my godsons, there's a different group that they, surround themselves around. There's some constants in their circles because they're friends at school, but the exposure to different kids, as a multi-sport athlete, I thought it was a really good point that they made because you think about it, and the example they give is your swim friends are not going to be your soccer friends. Your soccer friends are not going to be your baseball friends. Your baseball friends are not going to be your karate friends, things of that nature. So you're exposing your children, and if you're an athlete, you're exposing yourself to different situations and different kinds of people. And that's a good thing because in this world that we live in, it takes a lot of people to fill up this big world that we put our feet down on every morning. And I'll tell you what, for me, I'm grateful that my parents involved me in more than one sport, more than one organization. They made me step out of my comfort zone, things that I didn't really want to do at the time. turned out to be great for me later in life as I stepped into it. So Sue and Dan Yoakley, thank you so much for making me do that. And I think for kids nowadays, and you're a perfect example. You're a young father, with two kids. And I mean, do you put them in situations? Do you and your wife put them in situations where they're not exactly 100% bought in, but maybe at the end of the season they love what they did?
Honestly, I'll be honest with you. My dad was one who pushed me to basically do everything and anything that was physically possible at a young age. And I was a youth football burnout. I got burnt out of youth football. 5 nights a week, you practiced. You played on Saturdays or Sundays when we played. And I didn't like it. You know what I mean? I wasn't a bad football player, but I just didn't, you know what I mean? It was just too much. And I did it from the time I was 7 years old all the way up to I was 12. And I burnt out, and I did not play football past the 8th grade. So, as a parent, when my son was born, I didn't push him to do anything athletically. I wanted him to find his own groove. And he didn't even pick up a baseball glove until he was 7 years old. And it's worked out well because he's a good little athlete. And so, I never pushed him to do anything he didn't want to do. He wanted to wrestle one year, believe it or not. He loved, of course, WWE wrestling's always on the TV here on Monday nights. And, as a young kid, he fell in love with wrestling, and he thought that, wrestling was going to be, he'd be on the top rope doing an elbow splash on somebody, but he wanted to wrestle. So he spent 1 year in wrestling. He cried for the first 3 practices. Okay. Cried. Didn't want to be there. Didn't want to do it. Well, I told him, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it. You're not going to quit. Okay. Comes next year, you don't want to do it. It's fine. Honestly, that was a turning point for him, though. He was a mama's boy. He was a softie up till he was 7 years old, which is, mom's first kid, so it's natural. But that 1 year wrestling, it really did wonders for him. It toughened him up. It made him get interested in other sports. Started throwing baseball. Started getting off the tee. And he loved it. And baseball was his first love. And then now he loves basketball. It's just like I just said earlier, though. It's each situation's different. You know what I mean? Everybody, you said it yourself, everybody's different in this world. Everybody has different views. Everybody has different goals. Everybody has different ideas on how you're supposed to do things. And that's the beauty of the United States of America. You as freedom of whatever you want to do with your children and however you want to parent. And, hopefully each parent assesses their situation differently, because everybody's different and they make the right decision for their kids and for their families. So
here's my favorite point, and then we'll wrap it up right after this and move on. But the exposure to different roles, and I thought this was really, really interesting, because I feel like when you're a senior, when you're the older kid, ours were always in groups of 2. So it was the 11 and 12s, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 for Colt League. So when you look at it from a standpoint, when you play different sports, you're not always going to be the best at that sport. Now, there's some outliers that some kids that are just naturally gifted and advanced at certain levels. There's one that comes to mind for me who's so good at sports at this age. I think he's 8 years old at this point. He was he came out and he was able to, his love was sports, every sport. And his family's done an excellent job of bringing him up and allowing him to advance himself. And he's played higher. His uncles and I think cousins are all athletically gifted as well. So when you're in this opportunity, and the most of us, the grand majority of us, when we're put in different roles in different sports, I mean, for instance, I was a catcher, and baseball was my number 1 sport. I was a catcher from the age I was 11 years old all the way up till I hung the cleats up, so to speak, in college. And, over the course of 10 years and, till I guess 11 years, you grow into that role. But I was also, when I played football, I was a kicker. I was an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, linebacker, different roles. And I think what it helped me do in life was wear different, I guess, no pun intended, wear different hats. Because I know that I'm not always going to be the best at what I do, but I know how to kind of shift and as a teammate, help, persuade and help do other things, and realize that second fiddle is not a bad place to be, because if you're able to, learn from somebody that's better than you in every scenario, you get better as well. Like I was told the greatest advice that I ever got in baseball was there is zero kind of disgrace to being a bullpen catcher or being a backup catcher, because as long as you're playing with guys that are better than you, you will raise your game.
Right.
Because I was a 14-year-old playing in I don't know if you're familiar with the Youngstown B League, playing in the Big B, and the coach told me, Mr. Diorio, told me straight up. He said, "Listen, I want you. I love your character. I love where you're at, but you're not going to play for us this year. So if you want to play somewhere else, I completely get it. But know that if you come on this team, the people you're surrounding yourself with will make you better." And I kind of learned from that. I was always the kid in the backyard playing with guys that are twice my age. I mean, getting run over. And you want to talk about a mama's boy. Every time that I came home crying after getting hit by an 18-year-old, and I was only 8, in backyard football, Mama Yoakley just stormed out that back door, and she wasn't having any of it. But you talk about the turning points. Whenever those 18-year-olds go away to college or trade schools or anything like that, you're tougher because you're where it's at. So I think from being exposed to those different roles, I was able to do exactly what they're saying. And it's an opportunity to broaden your experience, and socially, developmentally. I was able to start conversations. There was more things, more interest that I had with other people, more than just saying, "Hey, it's snowing outside. How about that weather today?" So
right.
From your
makes you a more well-rounded individual. And then when, no matter what group of people you're in, you're able to adapt and coexist with those people.
With your son, and does your daughter play sports as well?
She's a gymnastics. She does gymnastics. Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you look at that, the exposure that they're under right now, and obviously they both go to school as well. And, they're meeting kids from different schools, I'm guessing, and different organizations that come in to play. And do you feel that helps being able to, obviously sports, I think, in our humble opinion, we're not going to tell you that sports doesn't help you as an individual. But being able to, for your son, for instance, does he have friends outside of baseball that are just basketball friends that and vice versa?
Yeah. He has baseball friends. He has basketball friends. He's got Xbox, PlayStation friends. He's got, he's a well-rounded kid. He's a good kid. And I think that's, that's like you said, just not, if you focus on one thing or only involved in one thing, then you are only limiting yourself to exposure, with a certain group of people or a certain type of person, or, and that, I mean, I think it helps. It definitely helps. He, I would say he's well-rounded, and he, he works well in all groups and all classes of youth, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's definitely helped him tremendously. Here's the thing though, too, you mentioned this, it's good to get these kids out and about, because if not, involved, if not, they're going to sit on their phones all day, or they're going to sit on their Xbox or PlayStation all day. And that's going to have a social impact on them as they get older. And that's definitely not, what we want, because these kids, if my son's 11, we already said that, but if we put DJ and Tommy, 11-year-old, in a room with Cohen, 11-year-old, it would, he'd probably think we weren't very smart.
You're probably right.
These guys are lame. They don't know nothing,
We're playing in the crick, and he's playing Call of Duty. So
right, exactly.
That's basically what it boils down to. That's a wrap on this one. I mean, obviously there's no defining it. Everybody's going to do what they're going to do. But I wanted to bring some light to the situation, because it is such a popular topic. I mean, there's so many people now that want to give their kids the opportunity to succeed and feel like they can just, hey, if you just want to play baseball, if you want to make the major leagues, here's your opportunity. You're only going to play baseball. And I think that has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages as playing multi-sport, multiple sports. So obviously no solution to this one. There's no magic sauce that we can pour over this and say, hey, this is the way to go if you want to be drafted. But nonetheless, just I guess the best scenario is just to ask your kid what they want to do, and maybe sometimes push them out of their comfort zones as a parent, and try to guide that ship the best you can. So keep doing what you're doing out there. We appreciate it, and obviously especially with this next story that we're going to talk about. It's a crazy world we live in, and just keep trying to do the best you can. Tommy, I don't know if you saw this morning. I saw it. Credits. Let me see if I can get the credit. I believe it was. I just want to get the credit right. It was the Trib High School Network on Trib Live, and Monessen and Clairton over in Pennsylvania, not too far from where we are in the Pittsburgh area, I believe. An absolute brawl broke out last night at a high school basketball game. 4:26 left in the game, and kind of a tangle up turned into a brawl. You can see there's some video out there on Twitter. For us, we're not going to pass it along. We just wanted to touch on it because we are very fortunate here in our area that most teams, even though there are rivalries, it never turns out like this. It never turns into a brawl. With everything you see on TV right now in the NBA, we saw this with players taking a knee. It eventually made its way down to the high school level and made its way down all the way to Pee Wee football level. Players, high school athletes, young kids are going to emulate what they see on TV. And right now, what they see on TV when they watch basketball is a bunch of dudes fighting, a bunch of dudes getting ejected and doing this. Is it the NBA's problem or is it a society problem, Tony?
I would say it's a society problem. I wouldn't just blame it on the NBA. Everybody makes their own decisions, and there was I'm not sure if you heard about this down in the Wheeling area a few weeks back. There was a fight on the now it wasn't an all-out brawl, but kid got a foul walking back the other way. Two kids had an exchange. One kid took one step, turned back around, and just laid out the kid from the other team. And actually, that kid has his jaw wired shut now. And luckily, the officials there were able to contain everything after it happened. They were right on it. So great job by the officials there. But I mean, my goodness. I mean, and then you have the all-out brawl, like you said last night. I mean, it's just. Did
you have a chance to see that?
No, I did not watch it yet. No.
Oh man, when we dip out here, take a look at it. It's one of those things you want to see, but you don't. You know what I mean? Like I watched
it. No.
I watched it with my wife this morning, and I was just in awe. Like it's one of those things you want to see it because it's real and it's close to home, but you never want to see that happen. You never, because it was fans. It was I want to say there was officials trying to break it up, and there were guys on the sidelines that all of a sudden were brought into the fight. I mean, there was cheap shots. There was females involved. Girls got involved for better, for worse. I mean, you'd never, as a man, you never want to take a swing or even think about hitting a female. And this just ran wild last night. This was incredible. Stuff you don't want to see. And trust me, I understand when competition is happening, when there's a little bit of spirited and heat involved. I understand the ingredients are there for trouble, but to have it boil over like that is a tough, and it's not a good situation for school officials. It's not a good situation for either school, because now they have to address it. Now they have to say, okay, who started it? Who took advantage of the excuse me, who took advantage of the situation? It's just an ugly situation. So, if you're listening at home, obviously we don't want to bring any more light to this than we have to, but we do want to report it, and we want to say how lucky we are to have schools that understand and people you see. I don't even know what you call them anymore. I guess you call them chaperones or that kind of stand in the sidelines, especially basketball games, kind of make sure everything's cool. The coaches do a good job for the most part of making sure that everybody keeps their cool and they don't escalate the situation, which I think probably had. I don't want to blame coaches or point fingers because I don't know the situation, but you got to think that there was something that lit the fuse last night, and it probably was a little bit more than just tangling around. So, hats off to the people around here and the coaches the volunteers from all the highest level all the way down to the bottom of making sure that this doesn't happen on a nightly basis, because like I said, the ingredients are there. All right, man, this is the next topic is well, it's up in the air. It's just like the start time for the show today, Mr. Pease. It is signing day here across the country, nationally. We had a signing yesterday with Peyton Remish of South Range. Congratulations to Peyton, who is headed to Slippery Rock and try to incorporate and put his stamp on that football team the way he did on South Ranges. But signing day here in the Valley, we are getting pounded by snow right now. And talking to WKBN sports director Ryan Allison, to put it bluntly, the show must go on. How do you think a snow day like this affects signing days? Are we going to see more Twitter signing days than we are kind of like at the school?
Well, I mean, I would imagine most schools are canceled today. So, yeah, you might see a lot of, at-home Facebook signings today or at-home Twitter signings today. You're right. Yeah. So I don't imagine they're in our viewing area here or the, area that YSN covers. I wouldn't imagine that too many people are going into the school today. So, yeah, I think it's going to be, but you got to sign today, right? Today's the day, right? You got to sign today. Is that right?
So you can sign today, but you can also kind of wait. I know some of the players, I don't know locally, but I know in the past have waited a little bit longer to see who actually signs with programs, and there might be a little extra money somewhere along the line that they can get. So they've been told to kind of pump their brakes because it's not that they're on the back burner, but it's, hey, we've got a 5-star blue chip athlete that wants to sign with us or is giving us interest. We're in the talks with them. If they don't sign, then we have more money to give to players like you. So, and in this day and age, it's more about splitting scholarships left and right. And obviously with us as being baseball players, we understand that so well, that, baseball doesn't exactly rule the roost at the college level. So it'll be interesting. I know that some players are kind of waiting things out. A lot of decisions affect their playing time over the next 4 years. So if you're, a quarterback and they sign 4 quarterbacks, your chances are a lot lower of playing, and your I guess your chances of transferring down the road skyrocket, because it's not
right.
It's not necessarily just going to school anymore. It's setting yourself up for the best opportunity to play and the pipe dreams of playing professionally somewhere. So it'll be interesting. I'm really interested to see kind of if here in the Valley, I know there's sports shows listed for tonight, and they're adamant about having all these signees. And I saw a graphic last night, I believe on Credit WFMJ, that there's, I think, 80 athletes getting ready to sign for football. So it'll be interesting if the signing days still happen today, or if, like we said, is it going to be on Twitter? I know we announced Danilo Bazzacco going to Robert Morris last night on YSN. Curtis, I mean, that was huge pickup. We kind of knew that going into it. It was between 2 schools, 2 major schools, and Buzzy picked Bobby Moe. So good job for Buzzy. They and Robert Morris gets a great competitor and a great player in Danilo Bazzacco. But here's the thing. I remember being on a plane when I was, I want to say 17, 18 years old, and our birthdays have always surrounded this signing day, right? So it's always, I think, the Wednesday of or after our birthday. Talk to me about when this became a real big deal, because I can't remember this. I remember, sometimes a signing would be in the paper and things of that nature, but this is now like a real big thing. Every athlete has their own signing day.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big day for these young athletes. I mean, we just, we talked about it going in, they've worked, probably since they were young little boys at their craft, and they got good enough to where they're able to go play at the next level. So, I mean, it's a very important day. It's almost like, the culmination of their efforts has paid off. And so why, I feel like it's a feel good moment for the athletes, for the parents that guided them in that direction, for the family that helped them along the way. And I think that it's just it's a day to be proud of your accomplishments, so to speak, to head to the next level. And the bigger national signees, you'll see on ESPN tonight when they'll cover some of the top 100 who signed, and they'll play the game where they got 5 hats up there and they take one away at a time, and the one that's left is where they're going. And there's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes along with it. But you know what, these kids and the families that supported them, they deserve that moment, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
I'm with you. I like it. I like that it's – I mean, I'm a big guy into the media. I like the entertainment value that it brings. But, yesterday I attended my first one I've ever been to with Peyton Remish over at South Range, and it was a special moment. And talking to Coach Yeagley and talking to Peyton's family, this is a moment, like you said, they've been waiting for their entire life. And to be sitting in that seat that you've been staring at for 4 years as everybody kind of, sits down and has their letter of intent day, their signing day. And it's a chance for you to bask in the glow that you've been creating for the past 4 years or so. So I had a chance to talk to Jeff Remish, Peyton's dad. That's on our site too, under Peyton's signing day. We interviewed him and he just absolutely loved the fact of not only where Peyton's going, but where Peyton has come from. And I think it's just as important to the parents, every bit as important to the parents as it is to the student athlete. And, seeing, the entire family. And I'm not just talking about his immediate family. I'm talking about his South Range family. Coach Yeagley invites every football player down to that gymnasium to take part. So they do it right over at South Range. They do it the right way. They understand how important this day is to each and every student athlete, and they don't just do it for football. They do it across the board. I think more schools should. I really do, because that player's repped, and this better than anybody. That player reps that jersey, that hat, and they bleed those colors, and they leave their blood, sweat, and tears on that field or that court. They deserve the moment of glory. So, we're looking for some East Liverpool signings. We're looking for every signing. So if you are out there in YSN land, on Facebook land, on, I guess, YouTube land, and you want your signing covered today, tomorrow, whenever, let us know. We're out here for you, and we want to make sure that you get that shining moment. So East Liverpool people, make sure you hit up Tommy, Beaver Local. I mean, you talk about any school around. We're not just here for we do put pride in our schools, our partner schools that we have, all 10 of them. But we also want to, the schools that we play. We want to be able to promote you. So let us know if you're signing today or anytime in the near future, and we will make sure that we get out to a school or have a representative out there to make sure you're highlighted. So that's to me, man. I just think a snow day right now with I think they said up to 12 inches on the way. I think it's going to put a damper, man, on signing day 2018.
It's definitely going to, especially here in the Northeast. It's definitely going to hamper it for sure. So it'll be interesting. We might see some original signing day locations. You never know.
From the basement, set up the
from
table.
The basement at the Yoke. You invite them over, Yoke. You got it. A nice little setup there. Put a little table there.
I'll get Sarah's table out, the one that we serve Super Bowl Sunday, and we'll just put a nice tablecloth. We'll bring out our best tablecloth for you for signing day. Everyone,
there you go.
Come to the Yoakley house. YSN has exclusive rights though. I don't want any media in here. This is my dojo. Hey man, so that wraps up our local coverage. We went a little long today on our talking about signing day, talking about the multi-sport versus one sport. I want to go over a couple things real quick. The Cavs, the Cavaliers, man, regional coverage here. The Cavaliers are sinking. They are a sinking ship. Who's to blame for this? I mean, does this start at the top, or is this in the locker room?
Did the Cavs lose last night?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, they were up 16 at half.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. I was going to say that the Cavs rebounded last night. I can't believe they lost that. Oh, wow. They ended up losing by 18 to the Magic. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
They scored 9 points in the fourth quarter, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It was bad, man. It was bad. I got to watch the highlights. Obviously, I was at the Columbiana game. But I'll tell you what, man, they were They were rough, and they're all over. I mean, their fans are all over him today, and they were all over him last night. So it's going to be interesting to see. The Lakers officially came out and said they are not going to go after LeBron. They're going to put all their chips in the 2019 pool. And I don't know. I mean, do you take that as the Lakers are giving up for the next year and a half?
Well, I mean, if they're not going after LeBron James, I mean, they lack star power. I mean, besides Alonzo Ball, I mean, that's not really superstar power. I mean, he has star power due to his marketing genius dad, but not game winning star power. But I'm reading here, ESPN.com 9 hours ago, Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron James says he won't waive no trade clause and he vows to finish season with team. Well, that right there tells me he's leaving next year.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, LeBron. But, I'll be honest with you. Whatever's going on with the Cleveland Cavs, it's on LeBron James to fix it.
He brought this. I mean, I don't want to blame LeBron, but I mean, listen, like we've heard some of the rumors. We've heard. I mean, and I'm a firm believer where there's smoke, there's fire. But he brought this on himself. I mean, Tyronn Lue is not a championship coach. I'm sorry, he's just not. He was. I mean, and not that every player, championship player has to be a good coach, but we all know LeBron's running the show. We all know he's calling the plays. We all know he's calling the shots in Cleveland. Personally, I think Dan Gilbert's the guy who really is mailing it in. I think the owner, I think that when they got rid of Griffin, I thought it was a really bad move. They really didn't give him the keys. They kind of let him have the driving permit, but he never got his license in Cleveland.
Right.
So I think that it'll come back, and I think they won their championship, and it's one of those things where you win your championship and you're so excited because you did it, and then you realize that, oh crap, that was a lot of work. Do we really want to put it in again? And LeBron, I don't want to say he's jaded at championships. I think that championships are a firm part of his legacy, and he's going to hear it. And we've talked about this before. He's going to hear it wherever he goes. Yeah, you might be the greatest of all time, but Jordan has 6, Kobe has 5, and on and on and on. It's a LeBron problem, but Dan Gilbert started it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I follow you. But too much. LeBron James just has too much, but he's LeBron James, so he earned the right to have so much say in what goes on in that organization. So,
there's nobody like him. There's nobody like him in the world, and I don't think we'll ever see another one. And I don't think that. I mean, you can say the same about Jordan. I mean, the closest to him was Kobe, and Kobe really wasn't that close. Yeah, to me, I don't think he was really even that close to being Jordan. He had the personality of him. He had a little bit more arrogance to him, but Jordan was able to finish, and Kobe really couldn't. I mean, he's got his championships. But those will always be Shaq's championships. Shaq was the best player in the game for so many years. And Kobe was just kind of along for the ride, and he did his due diligence, and he scored baskets, but those are Shaq's championships. And I think Kobe's got 2 of his own, when he didn't have Shaq. LeBron, I mean, it's going to be the same story. It's going to be, hey, look who LeBron had around him. He had Kevin Love. He had Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. He had all these guys, and he never really took championship of his own. So it'll be interesting. The Cavs are a sinking ship, so if you're on that bandwagon and you're not a true fan, I think you're going to see a lot more Philadelphia jerseys, probably see a lot more Oklahoma City jerseys, and heaven forbid we see any more Boston jerseys, because if you go from Cleveland to Boston, heaven forbid. So, all right, man, wrap up the show today. Huge news in the NFL. We talked about it, kind of the departure and the set plays, so to speak, for the New England Patriots, as their defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, leaves for Detroit. Their offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, leaves for Indianapolis.
Put the brakes on that. All
of a sudden, breaking news last night, and McDaniels is staying home. 2 schools of thought here. I'm going to put one out there, and you tell me the other one, because I think we're on the same wavelength. McDaniels is a little nervous because he realizes he won his first 5 games and then went, I think, or won his first 6 and then went 5-11 after that. And I think he also realizes he either found out, and this is complete speculation, he either found out that he doesn't have Andrew Luck moving forward, or he found out that the Colts are just going to be that bad and he doesn't want to be associated with it. The other side of the coin, I think you got it. What do you say, pal?
I think that Belichick has 1 year left. I think Brady has 1 year left. I think Gronk has 1 year left. And I think McDaniels is going to get the keys to the castle. And that totally goes against everything I said the other day when I said that that Gronk's gone. But I feel like there was some talk within the Patriots organization, and they want McDaniels basically to be the predecessor to Bill Belichick. And they told him if he stays, that pretty much it's going to be his job when Belichick leaves. That is the only reason I see him not taking that Colts job.
I'm with you.
Besides the fact that the Colts are going to absolutely stink.
I think it might be a mixture of both, to be honest with you. I think that, not that Andrew Luck retires, but I think he's a lot more injured and there's a lot more going on with AL-12 than the Colts want to let on to, or Andrew wants to let on to. And I also think that you're absolutely right. I think personally, I think this is it. I think that he's sticking around, and I think Belichick leaves. I think something happens with Brady, Gronk. I think Gronk comes back, but I think this is it, man. I think this is he's going to be the Patriots coach on opening day.
On opening day this year?
Yep.
Wow.
I do believe. And
wow. Bold call.
Bold moves, bold strategy, Cotton. I think that he's because he could easily go over to the Colts for 2 years or for a year and decide he wants to come back and be the Patriots head coach. I don't think there's any shame in that, because let's be honest. I think we all know that the ethics of the New England Patriots are just non-existent, because first off, pisses me off, and a lot of people, that you commit to it, and just because you don't write your name on the paper, you back out of it at the midnight hour, at the witching hour, because, oh, well, the Patriots sweetened their deal and I got the keys to the castle, and all this crap that's going to come out. Wait till it actually comes out, because the beat reporters for Indianapolis are going to be all over this.
Oh yeah.
They missed out on so many coaches because they put all their eggs in the McDaniels basket, because they had a deal. They reached an agreement and the dude backs out. So I circle the date on the calendar. Hopefully they play this year, the Colts versus the Patriots, because there's going to be some bad blood. If there wasn't already, there's going to be some really, really bad blood, especially with the circumstance they're in right now with what Edwin Jackson, in the drunk driver incident. They're in a bad place, and it put them in a worse place. So,
what's crazy is I was reading this morning that 18 years ago, Bill Belichick signed an agreement to become the New York Jets head coach. 1 day later, he decided that he's going to be the New England Patriots head coach, and the rest is history. So,
is it weird that I remember that like it was yesterday?
Yeah.
Thinking he was a jerk then.
Yeah, he still is a jerk, but he's a great coach.
He's still a jerk. I watched. I don't know if you had a chance, and this is kind of way off topic, but if you have a chance to watch the Jimmy Kimmel Guillermo thing at Media Day, it was hilarious, because Guillermo, his interaction with Coach Belichick was the funniest thing, because Belichick wanted nothing to do with this cat, and Guillermo, obviously for entertainment purposes only, was trying to get Coach Belichick to sign Tom Brady's cookbook. So it was interesting, to say the least. But
that's great.
You really get to see the true colors of Bill Belichick, and not that he's trying to hide them, because I think he's pretty comfortable in his own skin. But yeah, man, I think this is the tip of the iceberg on this story. So I'm sure we'll have it for many weeks to come. But breaking news: Josh McDaniels is a D-bag. So congratulations on confirming that, sir. Tommy, that puts a wrap on the burrito today, man. You stay safe out there. You stay warm, okay?
I'm freezing.
Yeah, I bet you are. Hey, we're matching today.
I know. We called each other. We didn't even call each other.
No, we didn't. I actually changed my hat. I had the Rebel hat on, but I had the Rebel shirt on. So I figured A big thank you also to the Crestview Rebels for gearing us up. Thank you to them. If you want to gear us up, we'll wear your stuff on the air. We're now on Facebook, so check us out. For Tommy P's, I am DJ Yoakley. That has been the Breakfast Burrito for Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here. It's a great day. Make it yours. Take care, everybody.